Democratic Congressman Marc Veasey of Fort Worth. Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it. I guess I want to begin with this bipartisan agreement on a framework, not legislation yet, but a framework in response to Uvalde. Have you had a chance to see what has been reached, and what are your thoughts?
I have had a chance to look at it. Obviously, I wish that there could have been more done. Obviously, the background checks, the gun show loopholes. I'm still worried about those things not really being closed. Even if you look at, for instance, the new restrictions on gun sellers, it really doesn't say that people that aren't unlicensed can't sale of the gun shows. I mean, there needs to be something put in place at gun shows, even if there's a third party. There needs to be something put in place at gun shows so people walk out of there after they've gotten a background check on after trading for a particular weapon. And so there's a lot that I want to see, but I like the red flag laws. I like the boyfriend loophole. I like the fact that they're going to look into mental health records, particularly for young teens that may have had some episodes and it doesn't show up in the NICS because they weren't 18. And so being able to fix some of those things, I think, really is very helpful. And so I'm encouraged by it. And again, I think it's a good first step forward.
And as you know, you've been in Congress long enough. When we talk about a framework, it's not actual legislation yet. So how concerned are you that there will still be an agreement, a bipartisan agreement, once the legislation is actually written?
I think that there will still be a bipartisan agreement. Obviously, there is a lot of demand on the Democratic side for there to be something done. There will probably be a lot of Republicans that still won't vote for it. But, when you hear Republican senators that are very conservative, like Brian, who's also from a very conservative state of Idaho, say that something's going to have to be done in order to preserve Second Amendment rights, then you know that Republicans are moving in the right direction, particularly when you hear again conservative Republicans like that say that something needs to be done. And again, if you go around Dallas Fort Worth and you talk to Republicans that are into shooting sports and into hunting, even many of them will tell you that a lot of these laws need to be fixed. They need to be strengthened in order to make mass shootings less prevalent than they are today.
I know you discussed some of the things that you would like to still see, but if this framework remains, is this something, and it passes the Senate, is this something in the House that you would be comfortable enough approving?
I would absolutely approve this. Again, I think there definitely needs to be more. I'm still worried about, people like the shooting that was in Midland, people being able to get guns again through private sales and not have to go through some sort of a background check. And the list goes on and on. I mean, we need tougher laws in this country to stop terrorists and bad guys and criminals and sociopaths from getting guns. And I'm committed to making it harder for people like that to get guns. But again, this is a good first step in the right direction. One thing that I do think needs to be pointed out, Jack, is our governor, where I think our governor has really failed. I think that it is time to put partisan politics aside on this issue, and we need for Texans to come together on an issue like mental health. Even the governor cited mental health after the Uvalde killings took place, but the governor won't expand Medicaid. And I just think that the silliness of, oh, I want to try to get to the right of you in the Republican primary, this sort of elbowing and jockeying of, oh my God, I got to get to the right of you. I mean, that's ridiculous for something so serious like mental health and some of these shootings that people think are related to mental health. Past Medicaid expansion. People don't even remember 2009. Hanging your hat on something and being worried about something that happened in 2009 and who gets credit for the Affordable Care Act in 2009 that allowed states to expand Medicaid at no cost because it was picked up by the federal government. Just it's ridiculous now. It really is. The governor needs to just suck it up and he needs to tell the Speaker of the House and the Lieutenant Governor that we are going to expand Medicaid. He could call a special session and get it done. And enough of this of the ridiculous jockeyiness that's going on over this issue. It's just trying to get to the right of somebody on something like this when people are suffering, and we can prevent mass shootings. Is just out of control. The governor needs to expand Medicaid.
Let me ask you, Congressman, if this does work out to be signed in the Senate, ultimately in the House, and by the president, it would be the first major legislation on guns, et cetera, mental health,
Mhm.
school safety in a long time, decades. And so what do you think has changed about it this time? We've seen so many tragedies. What led to, this in after Uvalde, do you think?
I think a couple of things. I think that for there to be two back to back so close, Buffalo, and then Uvalde, especially when you're talking about children, I think that played a very big role. Republicans could no longer say that they were going to just sit back and do nothing anymore. I also think the fact that despite the fact that law enforcement was present and they failed to act, also, really shook people. And I think that also made the Republicans realize that we need to act on this because law enforcement was present and they weren't even able to stop it. And so I think that there were a lot of different factors this time around. But I think that the two mass shootings so close together really did make Republicans realize that something needs to give, and we can at least back some common sense measures again. Need to pass our two background check bills that we've already passed in the House. They need to pass those in the Senate, and we need to make sure that that certain people can never be able to buy, particularly criminals can buy these assault style weapons. I think are hugely important. But again, this is a good step in the right direction, and I'm glad that the Republicans finally moved on this. A lot of people thought that we would never see this day. Most people thought that there would always be an impasse, and that they would just sort of keep leaning on these sort of platitudes and say things like, "Oh, even if you do pass this law, the bad guys are still going to get guns." The sort of things that Republicans have sort of hung their hat on for a long time now that people are quite frankly just were getting sick of.
Let me ask you about the January 6th committee. As you know, there was a second day of hearings. Did you watch any of the hearings today and on last Thursday? And what did you make of those?
I did watch some of the hearings last Thursday, and I was very, disturbed by what by what I saw, to be quite, and what I heard. And with everything happening right now, and I understand that people are frustrated with inflation and with the gas prices, but my warning to the American people: we care about our democracy that we have. We care about our Constitution. We care about our country. Um, the fact that work like this would not have occurred had Republicans been holding gavels and they just would have blown it off like nothing had ever happened is ridiculous. And you heard former Dallas Cowboy linebacker Jack Del Rio call it a little dust up. But just because these were right wingers, just because these people that came to the Capitol were mostly white, it doesn't make it doesn't make what they were doing less violent. And and because they were trying to actually stop something that has been a part of our Constitution since its beginnings, and that is the peaceful transfer of power, it makes it a lot more dangerous than anything any of us have ever seen in our lifetimes as far as stability and being able to maintain order in our country. And you don't want people that will just blow something like that off being in control of this country. That is scary. We need to have a resetting in this country about what's right and wrong, what our morals look like, what our values are, because what happened on January the 6th is not the American way. That's the way how you do business in places like Russia. That's the way how you do business in places like Belarus and Cuba. That's not the United States. Just to just blow that off, because people are upset about something else that's happening in the economy right now is absolutely scary. When Russia and when the Soviet Union dissolved back in the 1990s, people really thought that Russia was going to move closer and closer to having a more liberal democracy like we have here in the United States and in the Western world. But the fact that here in the United States that we would say that something so illiberal like stopping the peaceful transfer of power is okay is absolutely scary. It should really be sobering to everybody that people are just like, whatever. No, no, no. What them trying to stop that from happening and people dying in that building that day, people were shot, but people saying they were going to handcuff the vice president of the United States should scare the mess out of everybody. It doesn't matter if you are Democratic, Republican, or liberal, or conservative. It does not matter. That should not have occurred.
As you know, more than 800 people now have been indicted, going through the process. Some have pleaded guilty in connection with the January 6th attack on the Capitol. And so, most Republicans say this is just a one-sided show trial, and that, these folks are being indicted. They've been charged with federal crimes, some of them seditious conspiracy. And so what's the point of the hearing? Do you think there will